The night it all began, rain clung to the air like a secret no one wanted to tell. My house sat on the edge of town, a quiet little place with peeling white shutters and a porch swing that creaked even when no one sat on it. I'd inherited it from my grandmother 2 years earlier, and though it was drafty in the winters and the plumbing sometimes howled like a wolf at midnight, it was mine. It was safe. Or at least I believed it was, until I let him in. His name was Daniel. I didn't know that then, not when I first saw him standing on my porch, soaked to the bone, his shirt clinging to his chest, his dark hair dripping over his forehead. He looked like trouble in a way that made my stomach tighten, but also like someone who needed help. That combination can be dangerous, though I didn't realize it in the moment. "Sorry to bother you," he said, voice rough, as if it had been scraped raw by the storm. "My car broke down a few miles back. No cell service out here. Could I, maybe, use your phone?" Something in his eyes stopped me from saying no. They were tired eyes, not just from the rain, but from something deeper. Pain. Fear. I should have closed the door, locked it, pretended I hadn't heard. I'd grown up on true crime shows and stories of women who vanished after doing something exactly like this. But that wasn't me. I'd always believed I could tell the difference between a good man and a dangerous one. So, I let him in. The warmth of the house swallowed him immediately, fog rising from his clothes. He stood just inside, looking around with a strange hesitance, like he wasn't sure if he deserved the shelter. I handed him a towel, and he gave me a small, crooked smile that made my heart stumble. "Thank you," he murmured, wrapping it around his shoulders. He used the phone, dialing quickly, but the call didn't go through. "Line's dead," he said, frowning. Of course it was. The storm had knocked out service before. Living on the outskirts meant power outages and dead landlines were a fact of life. "You can wait here until the storm eases up," I offered, though even as I said it, I wondered what I was doing. A stranger. Alone. In my home. But he nodded with such quiet gratitude that I felt foolish for doubting him. We sat in the living room, the storm hammering at the windows, thunder shaking the floor. I poured him coffee, and he wrapped his hands around the mug as though the heat might seep into his bones. His name came out after a while, Daniel, and when he asked for mine, I told him, Claire. It should have ended there. A stranger waits out a storm, then leaves. No more, no less. But as the night stretched long, Daniel's story began to unfold, piece by piece, like he hadn't spoken it aloud in years. He was running from something. Not the law, he insisted quickly, though I hadn't asked. It was someone. A man who wouldn't leave him alone. A man who wanted something from him, something Daniel couldn't, or wouldn't, give. I should have stopped him there, told him I didn't need the details. But I listened. Maybe because there was a tenderness beneath his words, an ache that pulled me in. Hours passed. The storm outside refused to break. At some point, exhaustion tugged at me, and I told him he could take the couch for the night. His eyes softened at the offer, almost like it hurt him to accept kindness. That was the first night. By morning, the storm had passed, but Daniel didn't leave. His car, he said, was still dead on the road, and when I offered to drive him into town, he hesitated. "It's not safe there," he muttered. When I pressed, he shook his head, lips tight. And just like that, he stayed. It wasn't supposed to happen, but over the next days, he became a shadow in my house. He fixed the leaky faucet in the kitchen, replaced the broken hinge on the back door, and even managed to coax life back into the old record player that hadn't worked since my grandmother's time. He wasn't just helpful, he was present in a way I hadn't felt from anyone in years. I told myself it was temporary. Just until he figured things out. Just until it was safe for him to move on. But then came the night I woke to a noise outside, a scrape against the window, too deliberate to be the wind. My heart hammered as I crept to the curtain and pulled it back. In the shadows near the tree line, a figure stood. Watching. I gasped, stumbling back, and Daniel appeared instantly, his expression hardening the moment he saw my face. "What is it?" he demanded. I pointed with a trembling hand, but when we looked again, the figure was gone. The yard was empty, silent except for the cicadas. Daniel didn't say anything, but I saw it in his eyes, the recognition. Whoever was out there, he knew them. Or at least, he knew why they were there. And that was when I realized, letting him in hadn't just brought Daniel into my home. It had brought his past too.